Hi guys, welcome back. All right, so Saggies, let's go ahead and get a little message here. I wanted to take a look at who's thinking of Sag. And this is kind of in the context of, behind me I've got this bookshelf backdrop, and it kind of inspired me to think more about the Akashic Records and how oftentimes with the concept of the Akashic Records, we say that it's like anything anybody can do, has done, or will do has kind of already existed somewhere in the cosmos. And if we would like to make a change in life, we can just pull a different book out of the Akashic Record and kind of start living that life a little bit. But I wanted to look at it maybe from the other person's perspective, so the person who's thinking of Sag, and then kind of see like what timeline are they wishing they were on, or will be changing and shifting too. So first off, who is the person who's thinking of Sag? We have a Four of Cups. We have a Page of Pentacles in the reverse. We have a Ten of Wands. So first off, they're not living the best life right now. They could be pretty disappointed. They've had a lot of disappointments, things that didn't work out. And that could be anything from interviews that didn't work out. They might be feuding with their kids if they have like adult teens. They may be feeling like kind of unloved at the moment, to be honest. This is somebody who doesn't feel like they have a whole lot of like opportunities to reach out and talk to other people either. They could actually be in kind of an isolated and kind of down energy. But with the Ten of Wands, they're trying to just push on through it. They're trying to say, I know this is just for right now. I mean, things have to pass. We have Four of Swords. They may like the ocean, or they might, I'm picturing actually not the ocean so much as fishing. Now, maybe they fish on the ocean, or maybe they fish, in lakes and such. Maybe they go on cruises, or have in the past, or they're going to try to go somewhere to get their mind off of the stresses. But they seem to be pretty bummed right now. The Hermit. Yeah, all of this is like, I don't talk to anybody and nobody talks to me. I mean, they may spend more time like, reading books and such and keeping to themselves. They could be trying to read books that will help them to like sort through these emotions, sort through the disappointments. They could be almost like they're restless and looking for a new chapter of life because they're dissatisfied with some of the aspects that they currently have. Let me shift over though and ask, how do they think of Sag? Ooh, Ten of Swords and Page of Cups. Hang on, because I don't know if they think Sag owes them an apology for the ending, or if they think that they'd like to give an apology to Sag. Also, let me just first look at what the Ten of Swords really is. It's an ending, yes. It's an ending of the romance, the Knight of Cups here, and then the Star. It does seem like there's been an abrupt and painful ending of, the happiness that somebody wanted to have. There were dreams, there were hopes, and it all came to a screeching, grinding halt. I also think that they saw Sag as like this rising star. I don't know, Sag might have met them at a time when their life was really blossoming. They could have seen Sag as like this incredibly successful person. Oh my God, how funny. I'm sorry that those two cards were stuck together and I didn't even know it. Are there any more in here? No. Okay. That's hilarious. Not exactly haha, but I obviously need to quit drinking coffee over my cards because I must have got them stuck together. But there's our Sag. So they know exactly who Sag is, by the way. Sag is a very balanced person, and it kind of feels like they think Sag was a divine individual. Like, I don't know if they met Sag at a really special time or even a curious time of their life or something, or it's like, oh my God, it was amazing. I met Sag. It was like kismet. We had this amazing energy between us. We had this opportunity. I felt like Sag was my star. What's the Page of Cups? Empress. They think they need to apologize because Sag deserved better. What happened? Hang on. In your mind, what do you think happened? Ooh, the Devil. Okay. Look, there's a lot of sensuality here. I don't know if this person was unfaithful in our story. And please do remember, these are fictional stories about fictional characters. The thing is, that card is sideways. To me, that says it wasn't Five of Swords. It was definitely something that was, so we're going to get specific here because of the way the cards came out. So please bear in mind, I'm a fictional storyteller, not a psychic, but I will tell the stories to the greatest degree of detail that that it conjures up in my mind. Because this card is sideways, it was not a full blown like infidelity, but rather, led to an argument, a fight. It could have led to Sag walking out. Like an example of this to me would be, if you're disrespecting a partner, there's emotional cheating, there's, even just like over the top, maybe ogling somebody, or, if this doesn't have to be a full blown like an affair type situation, but rather the fact that somebody is always, like, I'll say, not honoring that there was already a connection. And keep in mind, this is an amazing connection. There's not any part of them that doesn't know, like, Sag was everything they wanted and then some. So this was an amazing connection. They wanted to romance Sag. They thought Sag was literally the brightest star in the night sky. They thought Sag was incredible. It wasn't, if they came across as somebody that was unfaithful or had vices, like maybe this person is a habitual flirt, and in their mind it's like, well, that's just the way I talk to everybody, or I've always, stayed in contact with old boyfriends or girlfriends who, still text me or sex me, or, send me inappropriate messages or something. It could be something like that, where it's like, but you needed to stop that. And it's like, it almost feels like something that is a kind of a vice, because it's something that is detrimental, but at the same time, it wasn't something they were necessarily out like seeking. It's not like, oh, I got to text my ex at 3 a.m. for some salacious, conversation. It wasn't, I don't know how to explain this, but it's like, it's more like a weird behavioral thing that was more of an afterthought in this story. I know this is a complex character to try to describe, because it feels like what we would assume is that they would have known better, and that that's not how you behave, which is of course why it's the devil and why there's a vice there, because they do know better, but at the same time it wasn't something they were out like engaging in and like, ooh, I'm going to have a secret life and I'm going to keep up with, multiple people and blah, blah, blah. It was something like much less than that. That's why I say it's almost like a habitual behavior, that here they were nuts about Sag, but then they also still engage in like some kind of just less than desirable, less than, just nice behavior. And look, because it's the devil and it has vices written on it, we're going to say that any reasonable character, any reasonable other person aside from Sag would have the exact same conclusion, like, oh, I'd be pissed. Yeah, that's not okay with me. That's why I'm like, okay, so we know it was out of bounds. It might not have been the worst behavior in the world, but it was definitely something that it's like, no, you don't do that. Like, we all know you don't do that. So that's where I'm going to say, and they know that. That's why it's like, I wish I could give some roses and make this go away. However, it looks like they say, but Sag, oh, Sag said, don't you come around here no more. Sag got big mad at me. Sag told me off. Sag doesn't want to deal with me. Okay, that's their perspective. Let's see. Oops, I'm going to change decks here. What does Sag have to say? Sorry, guys. What does Sag think of this situation or this character? Ace of Cups in the reverse. Not interested, don't love it, don't want it. And the Princess of Discs, which would be like the Page of Pentacles. Are you kidding me? I don't love this. I don't want this. Yeah. If they got to say something to me to, like try to fix their conscience, that's fine. But I'm not out there giving them my heart again. I think that this was sufficient for Sag to say, I'm so not attracted to them. Prince of Wands. Yeah, I think if anything, Sag is like, they didn't take this serious, so why would I take them serious? Did we just do that again? Sorry, I am so clumsy tonight. So this deck was leaned up against where the that card landed and I didn't realize I had picked it up and ended up picking up the King of Pentacles as well. So it looks like Sag said, I fell out of love with them, if ever I was even in love with them. It could be Sag saying, I couldn't fall in love with them, knowing what I know. They're somebody to be palsies with. They're not a villain. They just aren't somebody that I would spend a lot of time with. There's somebody that I probably, I see them as a player. I see them as a player who wants to be a King of Pentacles, but open up that Pandora's box and see what's in there. And I have. I think, if anything, Sag is just like, look, I know the difference between, I'm not looking to get a heartbreak. I know the difference between somebody who's a heartbreaker and somebody who's long-term material. And they've proven to me with an action or a behavior. I don't know that they did this a lot. I think this was a one and a done for Sag. I think Sag was like, whoa, crossed a boundary, no thanks. But Sag was pissed over it. So it must have been enough that it was like, are you out of your mind? We had something good and you behave that way. So you're not serious material. You're not somebody why would you be somebody that I consider a real serious individual that I give something as valuable as my heart to, if you're not serious enough to be able to handle that? I really think that this is a Sag, like, honestly, I kind of love the way they show their self-respect. I love the way they're just saying, yeah, you're not ready to handle this, so you can't have this. I can't take you serious, and therefore we're kind of done. We have Strength card in the reverse. We have Ace of Swords in the reverse. It's so crazy because Sag is not at all surprised that now they're going to start not taking no for an answer, and they're going to probably want to try to see if they can get Sag back. Sag is like, I don't know if they have the strength to do it, but if they do, I'll hear from them again. They are most likely not going to believe that I'm really done. Honestly, I do think that Sag was disappointed, but also is kind of calling it correct, right? They know that this person is really disappointed. They know that. And really disappointed. Sag knows that this character doesn't want things to be over. And that's why Sag is like, if they have enough courage to try to face me again, I'll hear from them again. I already know that. It doesn't mean Sag is going to take them back. It just says, I can't help but say that I already know that they wish that they could erase what already happened and they could behave totally differently. But what's happened has happened. Let me just ask, is there any other element of this that plays out in the future? We have a 4 of Swords and we have a 7 of Pentacles. Honestly, I think Sag maintains their silence to the point of maybe even blocking this person. And I think that they spend a great deal, possibly twice as long, growing as a person, because Sag is maybe the one person on earth who told them, you don't behave that way. And Sag is the one person on earth that was really special to them. Really, really special to them. Like, they blew it with, this would be like if you meet or get a chance to work for or work with your most highly respected, most amazing person, and then instead of really enjoying being there, you decide that you'll steal a little something. And it's like, why would you even do that? And it's like, well, it wasn't a lot that I stole. And it's like, yeah, but the behavior, why would you do that? Of course, you can't just do whatever the heck you want to and think that that's okay. It feels like that was the equivalent of this. And it's so disappointing. They're so disappointed in themselves for their own behavior. They are at least growing from this. 9 of Wands. They have a lot of growth to do here, though. I don't see Sag having more communication with them, at least not for a long time. I can't guarantee that nothing will pop back up, but it says for a long stretch of time, they're probably just going to have to be in uncomfortable mode and silent mode. They're not showing up with roses because they know darn well Sag isn't going to probably accept any of that. Instead, they probably are reading self-help books. I mean, maybe they're reading something spiritual. Maybe they're trying to sort out why did I do that? The one thing I can say on this is, trust me, they are way, way, way more disappointed than Sag with themselves. They lost so much with this behavior, and so much so that I feel like this person, like, they're not even talking to anybody anymore. They're not out looking for somebody to, rebound with. They're actually going through a major transformation because of this shabby behavior, because they lost the most important person to them, which was Sag, through their own actions, and it's actually hitting home for them. So, I mean, there's potential for a lot of growth. I just don't know. To me, it kind of looks like Sag moves on with their life, though, in this story. But Sag was an integral part of this person maybe blossoming and becoming a better version of themselves. I don't know. I have to say, to me, it looks like these two are someday probably going to still communicate. It just looks like there's too much regret on their side for them not to, at some point in time when they've really grown, to reach out. But with that Seven of Pentacles, that could be a long way down the road still. All right, I'm going to leave this here. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Bye.